That's the story of my life.
Make the order. I need a motion and a second to adopt tonight's agenda.
I'll make the motion, we adopt tonight's agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. First order of business is Port Line presentation. Dayton Rugg.
Here I am. Okay, thank you, folks. I'm Dayton Rugg, sales representative for Port Line Waterworks. And I have with me Mr. Mike Gartsuit. He's our meter specialist for North Carolina. Also with me is Mark Patience, who is the Camstruck, the meter manufacturer, sales representative for this area. And also I got DJ Jones, who's our municipal manager for the two Carolinas. So we've got a good support for Port Line here and Camstruck. And what we want to do is have Mike do this presentation on the video here. If you have any questions, please ask, and then we can go over the proposals and what we have to offer. We have two different things that can be combined together to make a more efficient, effective water meter system that'll make your lives a lot better. Okay? I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you folks very much again for making the time for me. I don't know if you remembered because I might have bored you to death, but I did this a year, maybe a year and a half ago. So thank you for having me back again. Just like last time, I know some of you are familiar with this. I see you looking at the quotes. I see you passing the meters around. If you have questions, please just ask in the middle of it. I always say I'll wait to the end and then I forget what I was going to ask. I would rather you just blurt it out, and that way we can get it taken care of and move on if we need to, right?
Well, I got it on my mind on the meter.
Hold on a second. Let's wait.
You saying go ahead?
Save questions till the end. I'm just kidding. Go right ahead.
What? No, what was I saying? Just gonna vote against you.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
On that one meter where it pops out,
Ah,
the antenna, and
Yes,
another
sir.
one doesn't.
that's right.
It looks like it would get water down in there and
It
could.
does look that way. They're two different meters, but the one you're talking about is this one right here. This is out of my demo kit, so I don't snap it into place, so I can show everyone how the antenna works. Normally what you do is you push it down and it will snap into place.
Right.
And behind these little tabs, we call them, they're like anti-theft pins. They're one-time use pins that go in and snap into place. So if somebody monkeys with this, you can tell because they become damaged. Most towns don't use them because sometimes they have to remove the antenna, put an external antenna on. They just put it in and snap it into place. But if there's certain places where you know people are going to mess with it, that's a way for you to tell. It's a little more difficult to get it off. But I just don't snap it all the way in because
What's the difference in another meter then, whether the antenna works on it?
I'm going to go over that in my presentation.
Okay, go ahead. I don't want to steal your thunder.
All right. So, again, if you have questions, please blurt them out. Again, my name is Mike Gartz, the meter specialist for North Carolina. That's a fancy way of saying all I worry about is water meters. Pipes, valves, fittings, drain, that's all Dayton. They can only trust me with one thing, and that's the Camstruck ultrasonic water meter. I've gone through this before. I won't spend a whole lot of time on it. Fort Line was acquired by Morse Co. in 2016. 2018, we became Reese, one of the largest plumbing distributors in Australia. And just like everyone else, larger footprint, they're expanding across the globe. That's easy for me to say. Fort Line Meter Services Group, back in 2019, we acquired Atlantic Utility Solutions. Long story short, we got Tom Powell and Mark Bain. They have over 90 years of combined experience in the industry. All this tells you is that we can offer a turnkey solution. We can do installation. We also have another contractor named G2 that we work with, so there's always options. A lot of towns don't want to go through the headache of installing this themselves. Camstruck locations, they have offices in 20 plus countries, distributors in over 80, over 15 million metering points sold worldwide, and this might be dated now, Mark. Is it closer up to probably 20 at this point? Camstrip is a Danish company. They were founded back in 1946. They've been making AMI meters since 1999, and if my understanding is correct, they have AMI meters still running from that project. So we'll get into it later. There's a 20-year battery life on that, but 99 to 2024, that's well over 20 years. They have automated product production, so we don't have bad days for people, right? Everything's made exactly the same every time. And 12% of their revenue is reinvested in R&D each year. They don't have a warranty department or a returns department, really. They have an R&D department. The meters of the past. We have mechanical meters, which are positive displacement. That's this little meter. It has what we call a nutating disc. The water goes in, this thing wobbles. It turns a counter on the top. And then you have multi-jet, which uses an impeller. Same thing. Something turns something else that turns a counter. That's how you know what it is. Static meters, like electromagnetic meters, and ultrasonic meters, which is what the Camstrip meter is, uses transit time to process and calculate the rate of flow of the water volume. What does all of that mean? What that means is there's no moving parts inside of this water meter. I can look through it and see the meter. Why does that matter? Because as we all know, as people who are aging, things that move break down. If you've got something with moving parts, it's going to wear, it's going to break down. This meter does not have moving parts. It doesn't wear, it doesn't break down. It also doesn't lose accuracy. This meter is accurate, guaranteed accurate, 20 years after you put it in the ground. And this meter is more accurate out of the box than a brand new mechanical meter is. This meter will be more accurate than a mechanical meter out of the box 20 years from now. This is something about transit time and sample rate that's pretty boring. I've got a nice little video here to show you essentially what's going on inside of the meters. You have a transducer here and here. They're inside the register. They shoot an ultrasonic beam down. It ricochets off a reflector, goes up, and then goes back down with and against flow. That difference is calculated. That's the transit time. That's what makes our meters so accurate. So why would you want to go with Camstrip? Well, it's very, very simple. It's simplicity, accuracy, reliability, ALD, and we now have a cellular option. It's the most accurate water meter on the market. Starting low flow rates are 0.01 gallons per minute. Simplicity, it's just simple and easy to use. We don't come in and train people for 3 or 4 days at a time. We come in and we do 3 separate trainings throughout your project for a few hours a day. It's highly reliable. The global failure rate is less than 0.1%. Annually, it's actually lower here in the US. So that's 1 in 1,000. So approximately 1,000 meters here in Denton, you might have one fail. ALD. That's where we start talking about the differences in these meters. Both of these meters are AMI. AMI means that you put something on a tower or a water tower, a pole, anything of that sort, and it'll read your meters multiple times a day. Specifically 8 times a day in 3-hour packages with hourly data. Was that a lot? These meters will read your water meters 8 times a day with all the information that you have going on in your system. It's like having somebody go out and physically read your meters 8 times a day. This meter right here is an AMI meter, and it does that. It's got the one with the different little antenna that you notice. This meter is also an AMI meter, and so it does all of that. This meter, which is called an ALD meter, and you will notice you have 2 different price quotes in front of you. You have one that says Camstrip AMI, one that says AMI ALD. There's a price difference in between these 2 meters. Why is there a price difference? This is the only water meter on the market that has the ability to detect leaks on the utility side. This listens back to your service lines and mains and uses machine learning to be able to help you locate where you have leaks on your side of the meter.
How many of them do you have to have in the system to be effective?
You can't have as many as you want.
Well, I know that, but I mean, like if you don't want all, probably half. So you need to skip, like you went to this house, skip 70 hours.
Or at least a third to a half, depending on what part of town you want to. The brand new sections you probably wouldn't worry about.
See, we're on rock, and a lot of leaks don't come to the top.
Yeah, so, but you
Exactly.
can listen to them, so that's
You
why
can
at
hear
least
them.
half.
So that's exactly why Mark Patience is here.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, we like you to do all of them because it's more accurate and it's easier to locate, to triangulate when you're on every single house. But if you did half, or if you have areas that are like really densely populated, houses really close together, and you did half there, and like maybe the ones that are more spread out, you put on all of them. I mean, we can do that, and it'll work just fine. It'll be accurate. It's just a little bit harder for you to walk further and listen further and stuff like that to try to find a leak.
And that'll do the customer side and the street side.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is if you have it on every single house, and if that house and that leak is on the actual customer side, generally speaking, the only one that's probably gonna hear it is the one that's on that house.
Yeah.
And then you also got the leak along with it. So it just gives you more information, makes it a lot easier if you do actually look at your screen, like, yeah, I need to go look here, I need to go look there. Where if you spread them out, you only do half or a third, then it's a little bit more field work.
Yeah.
And commenting on that, thank you very much. And yes, both meters have leak, burst, high ambient temperature, low ambient temperature, all of those alarms that would happen on the customer side. Those are actually sent into your Rugg software in real time. This is detecting leaks on the utility side. Another thing to mention is I said that there's machine learning that assists in you finding and locating your leaks. That software has a 95% success rate when it recommends to go out and look for leaks. Because, right, a lot of, if not most of them, don't bubble up to the surface. And that is this meter, the Flow IQ 2200. Vacuum sealed, watertight. You have a flow rate on the display. It's configurable multiple times. If you want to read gallons per minute with 2 decimals, no decimals, cubic feet, imperial gallons, whatever that is, you can configure it however you would like, however you're used to doing it, however you want your customers to see it. 20-year battery life. And again, it's easy to install. You put these in, hand tighten them down, and you go. Straight pipe or setters? Setters, yeah. Put them in your setters, hand tight, go. You don't have to crank down on these things. It shows you again best in the market. We have some randomly assigned letters to represent competitors, and we're at 0.01 gallons per minute.
That's a thousandth of a gallon per minute. So it's picking up every drop that goes through there. So you can sit there and have the beater running and you're just having a drip, drip, drip in your kitchen sink. It's going to pick them up.
Right, so yeah, I can say that it's the lowest starting, but why does that matter, right? That's could be just a feature. It should be something like say, well, the EPA has something they use called leak sense, and they have all these cool little things, 10 drips equal 500 gallons. What the basis of it is that they estimate, and they have industry data to back it up, that the average household leaks account for more than 10,000 gallons of wasted water every year. 10% of homes have leaks that waste 90 gallons or more per day. 90 times 365, this is from a single meter, a single house, is 32,850 gallons per year. Denton has approximately 100, and so if we use the EPA's estimate 10%, this is one I did without using my calculator. It's 100 meters. 32,850 times 100 is 3.285 million gallons per year. Over 15-year lifespan of a system, which is what we average out for the industry. Most places are going well past 20 or 30 on parts of their system. That's 50 million gallons of water not collected by the meter. Why does that matter? That's water you have given away. The town has made no money off of that. That's why that matters. Now, a lot of people say, well, we put these meters in, we're going to have to start charging our customers more. You're not going to start charging your customers more. You're going to charge them for what they're using. They've been getting it for free. How you proceed forward with that is up to the town, but that's an important distinction. A lot of people say, well, you're overcharging me now. No, we've been undercharging you for 35 years. I have a couple of examples of our meters in action on a couple of flow rigs. This was done by an independent group. I can never get the sound of the word. They show our meter moving, reading in the hundreds. There's a mechanical meter not moving. Another mechanical meter not moving. I wish I had the volume. This guy's commentary is great. It's like a flow bob, and just to show you that there's no trickery, there is water coming out of that. And the next video we have over here, this shows a demo rig similar to what I have in the back of my truck with, I believe, a brand new mechanical meter. Yeah, there's nothing on that. It is not moving. If you watch, it goes 925. And it goes 0.928. That is reading 3 thousandths of a gallon every 4 or 5 seconds. So that's the kind of accuracy that this meter will pick up. And that accuracy will remain until the day somebody runs it over or you pull it out of the ground. Again, with the simplicity, if you wanted to go drive-by, which at this point of the game, I don't think you should. I think you should go ahead and make it easier on yourself, because with the drive-by system, you only get information every time you drive by. But it's the meter, the read converter, an antenna, and your software. AMI, which is the route we're presenting to you, you get your own licensed, FCC licensed frequency. It's 450 megahertz licensed frequency. Nobody can get on it, so if the guys next door at Andy get a cam strip system, they're not going to read your meters, you can't read their meters. I said the training takes hours instead of days. Cam strip updates constantly. And you just replace with stock meters. If a meter gets broken or damaged, hopefully you'll keep some on the shelf. You pull it out, you put a new one in, you call, text, or email me or Shannon or Julie or one of our service department people based out of Concord, North Carolina, not Denmark. And you say, hey, I took meter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of my system. I'm putting meter 5, 6, 7, 8 in. We change it in your system and it's done. You want to run water through that meter, it automatically starts talking to the collector. So it's simple. This would be your AMI system. You have the meter, data collector, which are the 2 gray boxes in the corner. This is what would go on your water tower or telephone pole or whatever other device we go over. I think we decided on a tower and a town-owned property to put a telephone pole. And your meter data management system, which is your software. I've been over most of this. This will go into more detail about your question with the pins. That's what it looks like with those anti-theft pins stuffed in there. If somebody tries to pop those out to monkey with it, they're one-time use, so it'll show you that somebody has messed with it. As I said, a lot of utilities don't do it because their guys either don't want to, or don't feel the need to, or they're not necessary. They're more of a deterrent for people to mess with it.
Mike, would that send a signal to our system telling us that the meter had been tampered with?
No, that won't. But if somebody tampers with the meter and the integrity of the meter is compromised, as in the seal is broken, you will get a tamper alarm. And with the tamper alarm, tamper alarm, what that's telling you is that the meter's been compromised and it's going to die. It probably won't die tomorrow. It probably won't die next week. It might not die for 6 months, but it's going to die.
But it'll tell you as soon as it starts using water again, the meter's not turning on.
Yes.
Yes. But if they take that antenna off, you're gonna just kind of lose connectivity from the network, so you're gonna know anyway.
If they take it out and turn it around, because mechanical meters, they can Ferris Bueller you, right? They can turn them around and it'll run in the opposite direction. You could turn that, you like that reference? You can take this meter and turn it around and water will run through it in the wrong direction, but since it's not mechanical, it doesn't matter. It can still calculate the amount of water that goes through that meter into that house. And to Mark's point, if you have houses or properties that are abandoned or not in use or have been shut off, they will have a dry pipe alarm on them. And if those go away, well, then you know somebody's using the water there. As I said, you can configure You can configure the leak limit along with the display, burst, tamper, dry, reverse alarms, dual temperature monitoring. That can help you figure out what's going on during cold spells. The meter can't warm itself up, but generally what we have people do is recommend, if you want to advise the town, listen, you can throw some straw in there, you can throw a blanket in there, a towel in there, or just leave it alone. Because most of the time the meters freeze when people go, I hope my meter doesn't freeze, and they open the lid and all of the ambient air evacuates, and then that's when it gets cold and freezes.
How do you, if you don't mind me asking,
No.
how do you lock it for non-payment? Is that something you do through the system? Do they have to go out and maintain that?
So that is something that would have to be done on your side manually, however you currently log meters.
Or
Or,
somebody had a meter that they said you could turn on and off, that said it didn't work.
so
That's
this stuff is evolving really quickly. Meters stayed sort of the same for a very long time, but now they're getting, the evolution is catching up. And the big request right now from the industry, from everyone who buys from the industry, is we want to be able to shut these things off from my office. And there are meters that do that. There are third parties that can attach to our meter that can do that. The problem is those things are battery powered. This is battery powered, but this has path and power optimization. It can control its battery power output. It can also run full bore for 20 years. Those things have to operate a valve. So when you start talking about moving components with battery power, you were talking about a lot of energy comparatively being produced by this battery. And the products out there just can't last long. They don't last very long because, and I'm sure you'll attest to this, generally the places you turn off once are the places you turn off twice. 4 times 5, it's the same ones. We'll do that a couple of times a year with something that doesn't operate well with the battery and they get fried. You can go buy them, but they will tell you we guarantee 5 years.
Well, then the valves are designed to actuate once a month anyway, just to make sure that they don't get stuck. So that's obviously a power draw. So they have to do that to make sure that but you're right, they usually last 10, maybe 15 years if you're lucky. So that's part of it.
And those are the ones that aren't operated constantly. Like I said, the issue isn't that they don't work, it's that the ones that get shut off all the time.
And most of the systems here in North Carolina that have those, and there's 2 main manufacturers, they don't last 4 or 5 years because they're using the habitual users that you're having to shut them off every month. So it is wearing them out and they have to replace them because they die. And at least 4 or 5 years. If they aren't used, then they're not going to die immediately. That's a constant thing that you just don't want to have as a nightmare.
But, and eventually it'll get there, right? That's the ask. Battery technology is moving very quickly. Eventually it'll get there and everybody will get it. But right now, the reality is most towns, when they stop and look at it, they go, okay, what's the money we're losing from these people who we have to turn off or turn back on or that we don't notice versus the cost of replacing a system with these meters that are going to fail more quickly. And to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of towns don't want the political headache because oftentimes it might be one side of town that gets turned off a lot. Well, who's going to put those special meters on that one side of town when you have to be reelected? Or you want to distribute it over the whole town? Well, that's an additional cost to add to that. So it's sort of a personal decision and something to think about.
But if you put these meters on our present setters, they gotta cut off on us, so it's no big deal, right?
Right.
Because we don't cut off 20 people a month.
Right.
Okay.
And generally speaking, too, the shut-off meters, they might save you 1 truck roll to be able to turn it off, but you got to go back out there to turn on anyway because you can't turn on without somebody being there because they could have something on, you could flood their house. So, I mean, there's advantages to it, but it's kind of in development, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
If we were a larger town with 2 or 300 cutoffs, I think that would be warranted, but, like you said, 15 to 20
Yeah.
is usually our cutoff list.
And if you go with an AMI system, you're not spending whatever man hours you do reading meters. You can now do that during the time you used to read meters because you don't have to read meters anymore. This one has a lot of repeat information. It does have the automatic power and path optimization. What that means, if that meter is very close to a collector, and it's screaming the information at it, the collector can says, I can hear you just fine. Tone it down a little bit. That saves the battery. If there's a meter that's in the middle of two collectors, it'll pick the one that has the least, has the best path optimization. That saves battery power. So these meters can sort of take care of themselves. Those are the collectors. They have backhaul options, wired Ethernet or cellular, real-time event notification. They're rugged. They survived a tornado at Iredell. We had 5 survive Helene up in Blowing Rock, another 4 or 5 in Cherokee.
Yeah.
They all went offline because they lost power, but they came back on within the next few days, and we were able to let them know because they honestly didn't notice because they were dealing with bigger problems. We monitor your system for you, and this gives you an idea of the size of these things. So this meter in this picture is, I took it from you, is this. So this is about the size. If I say handgun case, most everybody gets what I'm saying when I say that size. This one, half the size of a mini fridge, about this tall by this wide by that deep. This goes on the top of your tank with 2 poles. It looks like a goalpost, about 6 feet tall. This goes down at the bottom where your power source is. A funny story about this, we have meter specialists in Florida. One of them is in Tampa, and they had a collector, I forget the name of the town, but it was the actual, not ground zero, what do they call it, where the hurricane hits? Landfall. Right where landfall was. It was attached to the tank with a magnetic bracket, and it completely survived. And they actually were able to turn it back on 3 days later once they got power run to it. Again, this is a lot of stuff I've already mentioned, but this gives you an idea of what your reading software looks like. It has a real-time notification. And one great thing you can do, somebody calls and says, you charged me too much last month. There's no way I used that much water. It used to be, you had to go out, you had to log the meter. Even if you could even do that, most of the time you have to say, well, that's what it reads, so that's what you pay. If you do have the ability to go out and log the meter, you still have to send someone out to do it. Now, you can go into your reading software, show someone their usage, show where their leak started and how much it's leaking, and in some cases show where it ended. We had one in a town northeast of here, normal usage, and then it shot up for a time and then went back down. Trying to visit the hospital, his wife is sick, he had a leaky toilet. He wasn't happy about it, but it just shows you exactly what his water usage was. Somebody calls and complains, you can pull this up, you can show them in a, if you do a visualization, it'll pull this map up, and it'll give you an hour by hour usage for that particular home, whatever the time frame you want to pick is. You can export that to a PDF and just send it to them.
Right, does it also have the capability of giving us, like maybe the next day report showing accounts that could potentially have a leak issue?
It doesn't do that automatically, but that's the great thing about the reading software is you can set it up to work however you want, and you can create what we call automatic jobs, or you can just come in the morning and it has, this isn't the home of it, I'm standing in front of it, but where it shows all the meters, has different configurable drop downs, address, serial number, and then it can say alarms. You can set that to where you come in the morning, you can check the alarms, and they'll pop up and they'll show you each one of them. You can highlight that, export it, and some places we'll just have an automatic email sent to customers like our system indicates that you have a leak, please repair it. They do that once, they do that twice, they do it however many times, and they eventually just say, we're not going to write a waiver anymore. We've warned you about this, we've given you enough time. Again, you handle your system how you want to. I'm not here to tell you how to do that. But that is what some towns have gone to. You get alerts, daily values, hourly values every 3 hours. It reports hourly information, but it sends it in 3-hour data packages. So that gives you the 8 bites of the apple a day. You only really need 1 for billing, but you get 8. This helps you get a better idea of what's going on with your system, your water inventory, who's using what, who has leaks. And it also has an internal logger in this. So if something happens and you can't use your reading system, you can still go to this meter, sorry, I'm going to make you get out of the truck at some point. You can go to this meter and use a reading converter to log the meter. There's an internal register in here that lasts for 460 days of logged information. Camstrup is hosted. You don't want to store all this here, trust me, that's a lot of information. These are on encrypted servers. I talked about the failure point, less than 5% worldwide. In the United States, it's less than 1/10%. We don't really have warranty issues, and this is my favorite part. I'm sort of a salesman, so I know after a while I get you told this to everyone, I've heard this before nod. I understand, that's fine. I'm more than happy to give you our list of references. Every single system we have in the state of North Carolina, I'm completely fine with you calling right now in front of me and asking what they think of not just Camstrup, not just the meter, but of the support they get for Fortiline. The acoustic leak detection, just a little breakdown based on customer surveys across the U.S. of what their non-revenue water is. I don't want to go into it too much, but 29% leaks and bursts on main pipes, 22% leaks and bursts on service lines. That's your service lines and mains. That's over 50%. That's what the ALD meter can start to detect for you. So right out of the gate there, you could just say, well, we can start looking at saving 50 cents on the dollar. But then you start looking at things like meter inaccuracies. Well, we're going to fix this too. Theft. Well, this lets you know about that too. And all of a sudden, you're starting to recoup some of this money that you are losing. It listens 26 times per day. It listens slightly off the hour because Camstrup realized that a lot of things happen on the hour. Trains run on the hour, valves open and close on the hour. Background noise seems to be higher. So it's about every 55 minutes, and then it listens for the lowest noise that day. It sends back a report. The machine learning helps determine what sort of leaks you have. Smaller leaks generally have a higher pitch, so they're heard a little more easily. The larger ones, lower, think of a balloon. You pull it tight and it squeezes and it makes that high-pitched squeaking sound. You let it go and it's a low sound versus a high sound. And this is the way the ALD software helps you break down your data. You can set the parameters, and should you decide to go with ALD, I suggest you set them a little higher because a lot of places will set it really low and all of a sudden you're hearing everything in your system at one time and it can become overwhelming. Remember, you eat a whale one bite at a time, right? This shows you your network. You have high, medium, low priority. It shows you each meter, and it will give you a graph demonstration display of what sort of noise the system is hearing. So an example of this is a simulated leak on a meter. You can see the main, can't even really see it, but the main one is this pinkish red. It's right here. These are all the meters in the area that are hearing it. And as you can see, there's green, yellow, purple. As you can see, it gets closer and closer and closer until it starts to spike at the red or the blue. So instead of looking and going, well, we have a leak in here, you have a leak in somebody's backyard. And that's where you're looking. Even if it's not coming to the surface, you're looking in a backyard, you're not looking at the end of an entire street. This is a real-world demonstration of a town in eastern North Carolina, a little closer to the beach. So they went from drive-by to AMI, which means nobody's driving by and lifting the lid anymore. They are closer to the beach, so they have sandy soil. So again, like Rocky, the water goes out and it goes straight down into the ground. So, and when the meter change out happened, the customer said everything looks great, we don't have an issue. So theoretically, there's no reason for anyone to ever go back and look at this ever again. If the customer's happy, the town's happy, there's no water bubbling up, who cares? Nothing's wrong. Well, the town called us and said, we're getting some weird readings with our with our ALD software that we don't really understand. Can you guys come out and help us look? So we went out and helped them look, and we said, well, it appears to be coming from this area. What do you have out there? They told us what we had out there. And said, well, this house is sort of seems to be in the middle of it. Let's go look at this. You can see the meter in the top of the box. The house would be the upper part of the screen, the utilities in the lower part of the screen. That leak is coming from the utility side. That is your responsibility. That is not the customer's responsibility. That was a 5-gallon per minute leak. This detected in less than 2 weeks of having the ALD system. This is a smaller town. Obviously, they didn't let it run for a year. But had they let this one leak run for a year, it would have spent the cost of their system. So you could argue, and I do because that's my job, that this one meter paid for their system. So that's what you get with the acoustic leak detection. There's not another meter on the market like this. There are other leak detection methods. They are not this. We also have a cellular meter option. I don't foresee that being a huge issue for you guys. Your propagation study looked good. It looks like you'll get great coverage. There are metering companies that like to sell a cellular system. There are pros and cons to that I can get into if you want to. What Camstrip did is Camstrip said, we're going to create a cellular meter as a stopgap for our AMI system. So places like in the mountains or places out east where you have a clump of houses way out away from any sort of water tower or water tank, as opposed to putting up a telephone pole, running power, getting a SIM card, running Ethernet, putting up a collector. You put out a couple of cellular meters and now you have coverage for that area as well. Cellular meters are ALD capable up to 1 inch. They use NB-IoT, which is the strongest signal penetration. I tried to go quick. I feel like I talked too much anyways.
What's the biggest meter they sell in them?
Camstrip meters go all the way up to 12 inch.
And the accuracy rate on like a high flow master meter would be the same as a residential?
No.
A 12 inch, well, you've only got 6 inch. 6 inch, you're getting below a gallon a minute low flow accuracy on 6 inch ultrasonic cam strut.
What we're getting on the mechanical meters?
Are yours?
Maybe about 4 to 6 gallons.
Yeah, probably lowest that you're getting on a turbine is 5 to 6 gallons a minute, even on your old compound meters. I think you got a big compound down at one of those plants.
All our metering points between where we sell water and handy,
Yeah,
there's a 6 inch meter in.
right.
That's what I was wondering, how much are we losing on them meters between us and them?
You'll pick up some revenue.
How old-
You know,
how
Handy
old are
just,
those meters? How old are they?
It depends, they just changed one, the other one's still Hershey MCT2.
yeah, so that MCT2, that's worn out, and they disconnected all those, discontinued all those parts years ago. So they're worn out. So that would be a ideal location to replace it. You know, Handy just bought that one 6 inch from me a couple months ago, and they noticed that the amount of water that they're reporting is higher than it was before when they replaced that old MCT.
Yeah, 6 inch meters mechanical are supposed to be calibrated once a year.
Yeah, they do a protest on it.
Yeah, if they're not, then, yeah, you're losing much.
Do you still recommend the, like, high and low flow meters on both, or just?
No, because, yeah, it's not a transfer meter for sure. I mean, if you had like I don't know, like a compound meter on if you had a place that, you know, maybe like an apartment building or something like that, where they're not running all the time. But when they are, you want the high flow, and then you want the low flow, then you would use a compound meter. But then even then, in the transfer phase, it drops down like 90% accurate anyway. But this one you don't have to do that, because it'll go all the way down to 1 and then all the way up in the high flow without having to have 2 meters.
Any other questions? Comments?
So we could put half and half if we wanted to of the leak detector and the other one, or whatever number we wanted to, I guess.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Some towns distribute throughout their system. Camstrip recommends, if you're going to go we call it a hybrid system route, that you try and keep them as densely populated as you can because it is more accurate. But for example, at an apartment complex, you might have a bank of meters. There's 25 in a row. You don't need an ALD meter on every one of those. You could skip every 2 or 3. Another example is I use if it's in a neighborhood, in a cul-de-sac, you know, they're all sort of right there. You could theoretically do every 1 or 2 of those. But again, the more you have, the more accurate it is.
But you know, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot, because you think to yourself, I can put half of them in and I can go back as they break and add more. But you're saying they don't break for 20 years, so
They don't
never
break.
go back and add no more.
They don't break. That's the
One
beauty of
thing
these
is
things.
too, if you don't put, if you split them up like that, then you're sitting, well, which one has the ALD meter? You're gonna go through all that stuff too. But there is a little bit of a cost difference, and it'll work just fine if you split it up.
Yeah, and one thing that some towns do is that they do what's called lift and shift. They'll go to their side of the town that they know they have a lot of trouble with. They'll put 50 meters there. They'll let it run for 6 months. They'll say, okay, we've gotten the leaks here at least more manageable. We're willing to work with this. And then they will swap those 50 with somewhere else and just sort of move around. That's a lot of work on the utility, but that is one thing some other people have done. And yeah, they don't break for 20 years, so I'll try and convince them to make something not so good next time.
The trailer parks and stuff like that, it doesn't matter, because you got, 10 meters within 4 footage.
Exactly.
Right.
So you could put 1 or 2 there.
Yep, absolutely.
And, like these cul-de-sacs are putting in,
Absolutely.
all the meters are just 50 foot all away from each other.
Absolutely. You can do that.
And you were talking about our systems so close in town. We do have Denton Road, which goes to the water plant.
Right.
Right. And I have,
That would be an ideal situation for every one of them going down there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the telemetry back and forth. Will they pick up that far?
Yes, we have proposed the collector there at the water plant location putting up. It's not in here, I forgot to mention that we need to put up a 50, 60 foot pole at the water plant and put the collector up on top of it. So, but
Now working from here to there, I guess.
so this is your system. Each red dot represents a meter. There's Denton Water Plant. These are the locations provided by the town when I requested. And you have your 2 tanks, the majority of the town of Denton. If you scroll down, that's what we were given. Camstrip used 2 of them. And this is the signal you get. It doesn't matter which tank you really use that's in town. They're both just green is good, by the way. They're both going to cover the system in the town. The difficult part, right, was getting this area way out here.
Right.
And the meters in between. You do have a water plant, it's town-owned property. We can put a pole there and another collector, and then that should be able to cover the space in between. And Camstrup's propagation study report. Budget 2 collectors, 2 to 3% external antenna to get you 98.5% hourly read rate. That's an industry standard. 98.5%. We'd like to get you up to 100. The industry standard is 98.5%.
We're usually pretty conservative on this, we're probably better.
Yeah, and Camstrip is conservative on this usually.
So if that was forgotten in this quote, how much would that
the
add?
pole and the installation of the pole is about $15,000. Okay.
The installation of the purchase of the pole with the installation of the pole, we have seen in the past being around 10,000. And then there's the installation of the collector on it, which is, I think, 4,500. It sort of varies because we don't have a pole factory we buy from, so it can change regionally.
Ground figures.
How high does it have to be in the air?
55 to 60 feet.
We just put that pole on the side of the building for the SCADA.
Okay. How tall is it?
I don't know, I have to measure.
Okay, that's something that we can
We
discuss.
just put a pole on the side of the building, because
Yeah.
it's single to the SCADA.
And the top box is what, 3,000?
Yeah, it's a lot like this antenna out here, but it's small.
Yeah.
How many meters are out there?
How many meters are out there? I don't know exactly, because
How many meters are down that road?
A couple hundred?
No. Wait here. 67. I mean, some of the people don't have meters, some of them do, some of them still on wheels. So if you go from, right outside town here on High Rock Road, right on the railroad down.
maybe 100.
Yeah.
You're comfortable saying probably less than 100.
From here all the way out.
So you're saying from,
Railroad tracks,
so,
council access.
done that way.
I mean, what you could do in this is do the collector on the tower in the main town there, install the meters and then see what's not picked up. Because that tower may still pick up some of those.
Yeah.
And if it's only a handful, say 30, 40, 50 meters, you could put cellular meters out there. It's like cost justifying, right? If I gotta put up what's a collector, 15,000 plus another 15,000 for the pole to read 20 meters. that's
Yeah, then you
the-
got the cost of the meter. So we generally,
Cellular.
yeah, we've sort of figured out that you start getting close to 300, then yeah, the juice is worth the squeeze with a collector and a pole. If you're around 100 from a cost, you get charged every year for a cellular meter because it has a SIM card in it, right? You still get charged for it. It has to go over a cellular network. But still, you run that out, you have to run that out for a while before you start hitting the same cost you would hit if you wanted to install a pole and a collector.
It's like $5 a year, basically.
Yeah. And Mark's right. You could put this one in and see what happens.
How much money will pick them up the Highway 8?
Yeah, I think it'll probably will too. It's
The Denton one or the water plant one?
The Denton. And then you'll have to have one down there probably from the water plant to get the village and, back up this way. Because when you get down there a little ways.
We could-
cell phone just drop.
We've
I
done,
was going to say, the cellular service in the lower part down there is not
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
a different cellular service than what you're thinking on your phone.
Yeah.
It's completely,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
completely different service. It's more like, you always have SOS, right? It's more like that. 'Cause it's only machine to machine, it's only text, basically. So, when you don't have cellular signal on your phone, doesn't necessarily
yeah,
mean
it's a little different.
you don't have it. Like, remember a couple years ago when the networks went down? About a year ago.
Yeah.
AT&T and Verizon, they were down like half a day or whatever, the meter was working. But because it's a different network.
On the original quote, I know that you had done a really good job at saying, this is yearly, this is a one-time charge. I see one-time fee on page 1, and then I see billed annually, so I'm a little bit muddy on what's.
We sort of changed up our, trying to standardize the way we do things, so I changed it up on you a little bit. So you might know that, yes, so software one-time fee,
And software billed annually.
yes. So everything in this group will be a one-time startup fee. So on this particular quote, the AMI ALD, you would pay for your initial software setup fee, which is your reading software, interfaces with your billing software. And then that's okay, so that's for that tier, 801 to 1600, because this is all tiered. And then leak detection up and running, sort of same thing. It helps the leak ALD interface with your billing because ALD is a separate software. And then anything after this is billed annually. So for example, this right here, AMI hosting, that's us hosting your data. That's keeping track of your data so you guys don't have to build a server farm behind town hall. And then should you do the leak detection for the tier of 801 to 1600 meters, that would be the yearly price. And then notify info codes 800 to 1600. This is one of my, all things considering, this is a very small complaint. This is one of my biggest complaints with Camstrip is they still break that up. That's just notifying you that there are alerts with the meters. I sort of think it should just sort of be lumped in with the normal stuff, but it's a separate line item. That's why I love Mark.
And then moving on down here, project management.
Yes, ma'am.
That is annual.
No, project management is a one-time fee as well.
Okay.
That's where you get our team that helps install everything, getting the software installed, everything put together, working with everybody here, getting all that going.
Your building integration, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then installation, I'm assuming that's all one time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And there are a couple of little things with installation. Should you have to start digging out meter boxes, or if tree roots have grown around one of these things, obviously there'll be extra work. And should we move forward and sign a contract, we'll spell all that out in the contract. But this is just for basic installation.
I guess you maybe not required, but you like plastic lids. It's part of, we're half and half probably.
Plastic lids provide the best performance because it is a radio signal. It can still get out with a metal lid, but
They
plastic lids
sell
provide.
a retro plastic lid to go in the whole box.
Yeah. Or we can provide antenna. If it's metal, we can drill a hole in it, put an antenna through it. And I'd love to sell you 1,000 antenna. At the end of the day, it's cheaper to replace it with plastic lid than it is an antenna.
Yeah, I'm run over with a lawnmower.
The antennas are really low profile, but people still manage to run them over with lawnmowers, or like they did in Iredell, they built a fire on top of their meter box. And that meter actually survived, it's still red. It looked terrible, but it's still red.
Really.
Yeah, this is not an immediate thing to think about, but 20 years from now, all the batteries need to be replaced. I've got 1,000 meters. What would that really run? At today's cost.
Batteries are not replaceable. You would have to replace all the
The
meters.
whole meter.
Yeah, so, by the way, these meters have approximately, a 6-month alert that say the batteries are starting to lose their life, and it reports to you here in town hall that, hey, my battery life is going down. So it's all intuitive.
Yeah, you would get a low battery alert.
And you said that this is a guarantee for 20 years, and if they fail in 5,
Let me be really specific. The accuracy of the meter is guaranteed for 20 years. End of sentence. The meter itself, including the battery, is a industry standard 10 and 10. The first 10 years, the replacement is 100% covered. The second 10 years, it is prorated. I forget exactly how it breaks down, but 11 to 12 is 75%, 15 to 18 is 50%. I mean, obviously, if it fails at year 19, the meter's not the same cost as it was. A new meter is higher than it was 19 years ago. In all reality, with the way the technology and this stuff's moving, you'll probably replace these meters long before you hit the 20-year mark anyways. But that is the actual warranty, is 10 and 10.
Basically, both these quotes are turnkey, except for maybe the tower to water plant or whatever.
and the lids are not included in this, right?
That is correct.
That is correct.
Now, there are 100 external antennas on that list, on each one of them. That is just our little 10% that we throw in there to say, you're gonna have some meter box situations that the meter stays underwater all the time. It's at the low part, and so we want to get that signal out by an external antenna up through the lid. So we just throw in there 10%, which is 100.
Yeah, so Camstrip's propagation study recommended 2 to 3% based on their propagation study. I do 10%, just it's a better budgetary number. I would much rather take antenna back from you all than you have to go get more.
So if we only needed 20 antenna instead of 100, we would get
Yes, we'll take it back.
Yep,
that
take it
back.
Yep, that's exactly right. And a lot of this is, remember, it's not Mount Rushmore, you're building a house. It's still gonna need some work here and there. There's still gonna be some taking care of and stuff like that. And that's sort of one of the things is as we start to build this out, you put the collector up, you start to spread the meters out, you'll start to troubleshoot and see where you need some. There may be a meter that's in an environment very close to the collector that's down a hill behind a house and is constantly filled with water. There's not much you can do about that sort of situation. You'll have to put an antenna on it. And these are things that will get figured out as we go along. And this is something that even after the project ends, we're not cashing the check and leaving. We're here to support you. We constantly support your system. This is something we work with you throughout to help make sure your system's running as efficiently as it can. Because I get a report every week of how the systems in North Carolina are running. Green is good, yellow is not great, and red is below where we want it to be. And I'm consistently almost all green. And that's a report we run independently with Line. We do it in every other state we sell Camstrip meters in as well. And my goal is to keep that thing green.
Our group in Concord is constantly looking to see how all our customers like yourself.
This is a long-term relationship. This is a marriage.
If they see there's a problem even with a particular meter that hasn't reported for a while, we'll send you an email and a text and say, hey, check this particular meter out because it hadn't reported for days. Is there a problem? But you might not have seen that.
And talking about the 20 years and replacing meters, this is something we did a workup, I believe, last time I presented to you folks. I believe these numbers are based off of 1,200 metering points, not 1,000. But this approximates your current annual revenue, potential revenue increase in first year due to mechanical meter inaccuracies. That's just from the accuracy of our meter versus the mechanical meter. It's $55,000. Total potential system revenue increase due to meter inaccuracies over 15 years. That's 1.8 million. And the important number I want to point out, and this is true for a lot of small to mid municipalities, towns, utilities, is the ROI is your payback period. This has it at 3.5 years. I think this was done under 1,200 meters. If we do it for 1,000 meters, I'm confident it's still under 5 years.
I guess that's worst case scenario.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's very conservative too, because that's assuming what, that every meter in our system is 95% accurate, typically, right?
Yes, we default assume that your meters are 95% accurate right now.
Question, in the future, will meters do the billing also?
So.
Is that coming up later on?
That's where, so you've probably heard is, like pay for use, is kind of happening a lot on the electric side, because their electric meters have unlimited power rights. They can do whatever they want. And that's one of those drivers too for shut-off valves, is people to be able to pay for the water they pay and say, hey, here's $15, turn off up. My water meter will run until I burn up that $15. We're not there on the water side yet, but that's kind of where I know the Greer's going to try to do that. Greer, South Carolina's going to try to do that. They did an electric already. So, I mean, yeah, there's talks about that kind of coming.
Yeah, I would think so.
I think it's years away. Yeah, I think they do that in some other countries, but their systems are completely different. But there's been talks about doing that here in the U.S. Not anybody that does it on water yet.
Not no one I'm aware of, but yeah, that's another one of the asks, right? There's kind of 4 or 5 big asks that everyone's asking for: the remote shut-off, the pay-as-you-go, the chemical, being able to tell what the chemistry is in your water, and pressure sensors. Those are kind of the big asks for right now. And because everyone's asking for it, eventually everyone will figure it out and get it taken care of. It's just
that's where the 12% that goes back into R&D. That's all that stuff.
That's right.
What's the next meter going to look like?
Yeah, and that's the thing about Camstrip is they don't release something unless it's the best. And I'm very biased, but I happen to think this is the best product on the market. And I know Ford Line provides the best service to their customers. I'll like I said, I'll give you a list.
How long would it normally take the billing for 4,000 customers?
For you to
Yes,
bill
right.
your customers, say if
I'm sure she wants to know.
if it's billing day, how long will it take you to bill from your ready and billing to
Right.
like 5 clicks?
Why?
Really?
You create an import-export file because your billing is your record of keep. So if you want to change something, you can change whatever you want in ready. But as far as billing goes, it won't hold. You'll have to change it in your billing company. So it's sort of billing company reading. It goes down like that. But you do an import-export file, you send it to your billing, and it's about 5 or 6 clicks.
Takes a lot of time. We're currently reading meters.
It takes me a couple of days.
3 to 4
Numbers
days
to
to
do
read
the
meters
system.
right now. 3
Yes.
to 4 days to enter.
Yeah, so you pick a time frame. It's usually 3 days.
And then check.
You highlight latest, you go to latest readings. You highlight the list. This is where Corey and the project management team does a better job. I'm not the best with the files, but
Yeah, we don't have to do any of that stuff.
I,
We just know it's really easy.
and it's a couple of clicks. I mean, I've heard Corey say, yeah, it'll be less than 30 minutes.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, the front of the house, it's generally what I call the administration. We got the back of the house, the field guys, like us a lot. And not just because it's easier on you, but it's sort of disarming to your customers. They come in ready to scream, and as opposed to you going, well, this is what the meter read that month, and this is what it reads this month, and this is what you pay, you can go, well, this is what has happened. What happened on the 9th? It was a hot day, the kids were screaming, we turned on the sprinkler. Oh, okay, that's right, I remember. You can point times out to people. It's amazing when you tell people, there's no way I use that much water. Nothing different. It was the same as every month. What about the 7th and the 8th? Your mom and dad came down for the weekend. Oh, that's right. I mean, people are still going to complain. You're not going to get rid of everyone. And you're still going to have people put tinfoil around
reality
it.
right there.
Yep.
What we hear.
Every time the water turns on, it's keeping up with it, like an ice maker, you know, how they go for about 10 seconds, it picks those up. With that little bit
We have
of water.
we have a bunch of great anecdotes from towns that have done pilots or had systems and caught teenage sons and daughters having parties, figured out that certain people were at home with other people when they shouldn't have been. That ice makers were running when they were on vacation, lots of stuff. And so, and for example, like a burst, Iredale had something where they had a burster in one of the winter freeze, the Christmas freeze a few years ago. They were to call this company and say, hey, something's going on, we're showing a burst. The burst is 5 gallons a minute for 30 minutes, I think is the default. And they called this company, and it was a mom and pop's ice cream shop. And they were able to go out there and turn the water off. And it was off season. It was an ice cream shop in the middle of December. They would have gone and checked how much money would they have possibly lost. And then how much money would you maybe have lost because you probably said, oh, well, that's terrible. Well, we'll write you a waiver for that. We can't make you pay for that. That's not money you would have gotten. So you're no longer reactive. You're proactive in your system. And it's going to help fix your cash register.
I'm good, Mayor.
What's the bottom line?
Too damn much.
That's every bottom line, isn't it?
It's an investment.
Yep. There is a cost, but it's an investment.
And your ROI will be well done.
And there's a price continuing on with equipment that is not accurate, substandard.
Any more questions out of this week? If not, do you have any for us?
I don't think so.
Just let us know when you want us to come and sign the contract, and we'll come in and start doing it.
Quotes are good till December, look like.
December
Pardon me?
31st.
Quotes are good till December 31st, look like.
Yes, I don't have any guarantee about when it will happen, but in the past, we see a price increase from Camstra on the 1st of January.
Yeah.
It's generally small, but that's why we guarantee it, but it's good until the end of the year. And unlike many of our competitors, should you decide to go with us, we can deliver the stuff tomorrow. We have stock. Most metering companies, if they give you a lead time, are saying a year.
Yeah, they're at least 12 months out, all the other
Yeah.
competitors.
So,
And it would take us 30 days to get your FCC license. And then we could start putting up collectors and start putting in meters. And this would be done in less than 2 months. 6 to 8 weeks. Total turnkey job once we get started. With our own crews.
Okay, I guess that concludes everything.
Well, thank you.
Great,
for
thank
the
you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Very, hey, you did a good job.
All right, good
Thanks,
deal.
sir.
Okay.
Can I do the help you put these back in there? You want the screen converter on your tablet in there?
Hey, Amos, while he's here, how many of them number of kits do you want us to go and get rid of?
What was the diameter?
600,000. 289.
Yeah, that's and he said the reason we don't use the five is that the pressure is
Yeah, but nobody told us
But we
that.
didn't know that. That's why we kept asking last time, but
The
the
real quote,
numbers.
this is
Yeah,
real
what
quote.
was the numbers? I thought that we didn't have, so. Yeah.
absolutely.
Have a great evening. Talk to you tomorrow. We're going home. I'll be home in a couple hours.
Yeah.
If there are some questions about the price change, I can speak to that if it would make you comfortable.
No,
No, we know what
y'all
it is.
bid it right.
Yeah,
You just got the
Yeah.
wrong information on how many meters we had. So your bid was way low.
Yeah, it sounded low.
Oh, on the original.
So that's where you were-
Yeah,
yeah.
that's, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, we were trying to just come up with like 100 and 500 to get half of your,
Yeah, we didn't get that.
yeah,
Yeah, we thought that was full.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It wasn't y'all's fault.
No,
It wasn't my fault.
it's always my fault.
I don't know what you're saying that, because normally, at least I'm told. I gotta get home where it's mostly my fault.
Thank y'all.
Y'all be careful. Thank you for coming.
The price change from the first time we had COVID hearings.
A lot less.
Oh, it went back.
It went down. It went
Oh, hell, man.
Why would we quote something we don't even close to half?
Yes, they didn't have to give us the accurate, because they don't know.
No, that's what we had. Did everybody have the same number?
But that's sure shock.
Yeah.
Is there a money available, like, grants, something like this to help us?
Ain't gonna be no money back on that. So one day, Western North Carolina,
yeah.
Yeah, well,
maybe at least purchase or something. Might be coming back in.
Said he was going home.
Huh?
Michael said he was going home.
When are you getting back in here? What's the time?
I don't know.
but gosh, that would be bad right there, all that possibility, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially knowing that
We
we
always thought it, and I think we always thought.
What I tried figuring out is if Troy said our water losses is only 10 or 12%, then how can we gain 10% off just the meters? Where's the,
Management is.
We need to, like-
So,
I think we can get away with that tower that we already put on the side of the water plant.
15,000 ain't worries. Did you see the new quote?
Well, he said it's cheaper than old quote.
Per meter, but they didn't do the right meters the first time.
Well, they give both meters.
No, you don't understand.
Then we thought.
So on the original quote that we had, our bottom line, the last number we saw was $297,000.
And this is 600. You see our dilemma?
Now, we realize now that they only quoted like 500 meters, but we didn't realize that when we were looking at
Well, mine
it.
says 334, 641.
No, look at the last page or the back.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you were
So I
getting
think it was
them.
brought up in the
Yeah.
last meeting about the 500 meters, whether or not it stuck, but I do remember.
See,
I don't
think
remember.
so.
I'll just say I don't remember.
either.
Yeah.
Because I asked, and everybody bid the same meters, same number.
I heard that part. You said
Because
that.
some of them are 1,200, right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
We provided all the information, I don't know what was said, but we provided all the information to them. Line came in first with a bid way before them, so when we decided to send it out, I sent out a complete address list, and I sent out locations for the town. So they had the same information, all three
Didn't
companies.
the first time we was just gonna do half of them or something?
Maybe, I don't know.
I think that's what it was. We weren't gonna do the whole system the first time.
I don't think we ever talked about doing that system.
But that's, I mean,
No.
when we went back and said, let's send this out and see what else we get, see what other companies out there and what are available, everybody received the same information
And
So
they
Fort
just
Line
did not do an
600.
updated, they did not do an updated
with
quote.
numbers, so.
Cause that's, I'm like them, I'm shell shocked.
I just wonder, you know, if it'd be the same with the other ones. I reckon it would.
The others bid right.
Yeah.
What was their bid?
Yeah, 377 for, I don't know what I'm reading this right, 908 meters and 103 meters, so. 1,010.
Like I say, we ain't never messed with none of this really read stuff, so. I mean, I ain't got no history to look back on. I don't know the difference between.
And those 345, if it includes everything, for 1,233 meters. So I don't know why everybody's bidding different amounts if they all got the same amount.
They did. I sent them all the exact same files, so.
I don't know, unless it's just quality of meter.
Well, I mean, I understand that was, I mean, I think we need to look at the other two now.
I agree.
We definitely can. I'll reach out to the other two and have them.
I mean, that's a huge
It
difference.
is a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want to set a time for maybe another time next week? So we can go ahead and get those in?
It'd probably be better to do them
So
while
you're fresh.
everything's fresh on our brains.
What's your availability next week?
Well, if y'all still have the old quote, you could go back and compare this quote to the old quote. And see
That's what I plan to do.
Where the price went up.
You know me.
It only went up on the number of meters. I didn't realize, it was only 500 meters.
Oh, that's where the price went up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't either, cause
The
I.
the per meter actually went down.
But I looked at that
But-
1180.
I didn't realize,
That's
yeah.
exactly.
And
Then
it's,
it
you know, if
wasn't-
you look at it, it does say line. It
It
doesn't say
does,
quantity,
it does,
but, you
it
know,
does, but
when you're sitting there looking at it,
And thinking they're bidding,
and I'm looking at,
and knowing how many we have.
yeah, and knowing everybody else's numbers were fairly close together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What are our
$300.
monthly proceeds from water approximately, Rob?
I'd have to, it's usually around 100,000.
I know me and you looked at it one
I don't
time.
know exactly, but it's usually somewhere,
I was thinking it was
Give or
like
take.
104,000, no.
give or
Yeah.
take around 100, depending on the time of year.
and this may,
10% would be roughly, let's say $10,000.
can we also figure,
Well,
while we're
about 600.
doing this, can we
Yeah.
also compare, like, okay, if it takes your whole crew 3 days, can we do, like, how much labor we spend on his crew, on administrative staff? I'd like to see those numbers.
But it takes us more than 3 days. Cause it takes 3 days to read the meters. Then Robin does the checklist. It's another day or so to go back and do the checklist. And then, you know, it ends up being a week to do a meter read.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I just want to see
We can do that.
wage wise, what does that cost us?
We can just drop it in our work order,
Yeah.
System and pull the figures. So we'll do
Because
that
if you,
for you.
yeah, because if
Round
you,
figures anyway, you know.
yeah, just some round numbers. I mean, I don't need it down to the penny, but you know, because pressing the button in 30 minutes, you got it, it's a whole lot different than spending 5 days. And we
It's
need
also-
to, we need to include that.
It's also the fact that we'll catch leaks quicker. I mean, I love that idea because, you know, we're only touching a meter every 30 days, but if we're getting readings daily and you get those alerts, let's say you have an alert set that anyone who uses over 2,000 gallons in a period of time, it's going to throw that alert, whether it's this system or another system.
Right.
And I don't think we're talking about, we know it's the best, I mean, know
Yeah,
it's,
we do.
that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just, when we go from 300,000 to 600,000,
We're kind of shell shocked.
That's a big difference for
Hey,
sure.
but look, Christmas is right around the corner.
and I would ask these other two if they would re-quote
sure.
1,067 or whatever,
Okay.
so we're actually looking at apples to apples.
All right, I'll reach out to them in the morning. Is there a day next week that works better for everyone? We have, Parks and Rec, it's Monday night at 6.
Some of them days I won't be able to come, because it'll be-
Yeah.
I got a meeting on October 24th. It's
Thursday.
7 o'clock. so I can-
Yeah, Thursday's not good for me either.
Okay, what about the 20?
The 22nd's
Second,
good.
on
That's
Tuesday.
Tuesday, a week from today. Is that,
I have a 3:30 appointment, so I might, I should be back.
No, that's what date now? They're-
22nd on
Tuesday,
Tuesday?
22nd.
Hayden, is that good? Okay.
And while you're at it,
Yeah.
Angel, how about checking to see if anybody does lease purchases? Farmer's Home or whoever.
Okay. It seems like one of them mentioned that to us. Was it Borderline that mentioned that before? Lease purchase?
I don't know, but that would make
I don't remember.
a difference to me.
Okay. Okay, I will ask
Because
that
we only take
question.
in $100,000 a
Yep.
month, is that what it said?
Right. So,
and do we still have, grant money that's not earmarked yet?
we do.
Or-
So I feel like this, we can do a scope for project out for this project. We just need to figure out which one it is, which company, and go out. But I feel sure that that'll be approved because it's for water, which is infrastructure. I mean, it comes down the line.
It's an
so-
infrastructure, and how, 240,000?
Yep, sounds money.
Yeah, we still have a little bit of money left in that project where we did the water line extension. But the 2 million that we received from the budget, yearly budget, that was for water and infrastructure. So, it can be covered through that. But do you want a big chunk, 600,000 taken for that?
Which we may know a grant that we can apply for, but it'll be
Right.
spring.
Yeah. And there's, a lot of people have mentioned grants for water meters, but when we've looked, it's not on the list through the state, so it just may be something engineers know better, we'll have to get to, which I'll ask them that question as well.
This is something that stuck out to me. So he said you can't replace the batteries, you have to replace the units, so you're spending this money. Again, in 20 years, do these other companies, are theirs battery operated, or are they gonna be the same
All of
situation?
it's gotta be battery operated.
Huh?
All of it's gotta be battery
But
operated.
can the batteries be replaced, or are you looking at replacing the whole thing
In
all over?
20 years, things will be so different, you
Yeah.
don't want to replace them.
I think they all gonna be sealed batteries, cause if you don't, water moisture can get inside the meter and kill the circuit board.
Well, he said tonight that once the batteries run out, and that a lot of time, it'd be time to replace the meter too.
Oh, yeah, these will be like the meters we have now in 20 years.
And I think long-term, you probably wanted, once you get to
Yep.
that 15-year mark, do a change-out plan so that you're not hitting a complete change-out.
Well, like he said,
every year.
in 10 years, we're probably gonna have meters that'll turn them on and off and
Pay
all
by
the
the
stuff
meter.
that he said that people wanted, pressure readings, on and off, shut off, all that mess.
It was impressive hearing him talk about, the loss of water, getting that accurate part of how much you're losing.
Which we do hear that. There's no way I've used that much water. but-
Which I'm gonna tell you, every meter in this town is old.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We are losing a lot of money because they're old.
And we're not disputing that.
Are you gonna try to get both companies in?
I think so. If we can schedule it, to start at, 6 o'clock, since you have a meeting, to start at 6. That's gonna do 30, 45-minute presentation, have the other company come, even if they come early, we can, have them in the front lobby until they finish. So I think that would be good.
See, that's another thing that scares me if he is right about that. I mean, if you're looking at a year and a half out,
And one of them did say that the quote was good through December 31st, but the product will be delivered next year. They actually have theirs in-house.
Right.
Mike was telling me on the stoop that they bought a lot of meters during COVID, not knowing what was gonna go on with the systems, and so that's why they have availability right now.
And you know, we could run across that when we talk to those other two, they might not be able to jump and have things like these people, like they're ready to ride.
But we don't know till we see
Well,
them.
yeah,
That's
I know, but I'm just saying, they were impressive what all they could just, you know what I'm saying? I like.
You gotta remember they're all salesmen.
I know, I know, but I'm just saying, what if that case
Yeah,
arises?
sure.
All right, so we'll, shoot for Tuesday the 22nd at 6 p.m. and I'll reach out to the other two and set up them to come in, and I'll ask Wooten about potential grants for meters.
And you'll advise both of those companies to do it on the same quantity of meters that
Yes.
were mine.
That was the 1,062, right?
67.
1,067.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, one more thing, the water loss that, you know, Troy reported, and Scotty brought that up, he's right. 10%, you think it's a lot more than that? I mean, you know, when we went to the meeting down there, all the other towns were saying 30 and 40.
Yeah.
There's a big difference
The
between
meters
that.
tell you there's a leak, there's a leak.
Okay,
But I mean, God Almighty, we find them all the time, and there's no telling how long they've been leaking. We don't know. They might have been leaking 5 years, we don't know. They might have just, I do like that, because it'll tell you main lines and service lines. You know, you just go, well, I know somewhere around Barber's house there's a leak, instead of, there's a leak over there.
Yeah, but what he's saying is, if Troy says our leak, our losses is 10%.
Well, we could probably drop our loss then, because all Troy's doing is figuring water made.
And water sold.
sold.
Yeah.
That's it, simple math.
Yeah.
We really have started over the last several years. I mean, it's been tracked a lot more consistently. So I feel comfortable with the numbers that we're releasing because we've got water from the plant and water sold. I mean, that's what we have to base it on. Now, once this is, you know, a system like this is installed, we could potentially drop less, but there's a certain threshold. The state even, is it 8%? They think under 8% is not accurate.
Yeah.
So,
What happens at 33, 35?
yeah.
So if we're already basically accurate at 10%, then it's gonna take a whole lot longer for us to pay for our
Right.
system.
Exactly.
It's not gonna be paid out.
Right.
It's gonna be 5 years.
Where you're gonna pay for this system is the fact that you're gonna catch a hand washing. Whereas right now, you're only catching a toilet flush or a shower.
And this is based on if the meters at the water plant's right.
It's gonna be the most
We may not have
accurate thing
accurate
out
meters
there.
at the water plant telling us how many water we're actually using.
Okay.
This ain't gonna help that though.
Well, it would. If the meters are real slow down there and we're pulling in a whole lot more water than the meters are extra, then we got a whole lot bigger water loss.
That was one thing, years ago that I heard in a conference was the fact that, and I think Mayor even attributed this at that training last year, is that meters that are old aren't catching everything that goes through them. You're catching, you know, every other thing or higher usage. If you're just turning on for a quick glass of water, it's not gonna register that. These meters are gonna register that.
Right.
Are the meters to plant calibrated?
Yeah. Well, I'm not down there no more.
I think they
doing that
come
stuff. I don't know
every-
when last time they've done
I think they come every 6 months and calibrate them.
Okay.
it. For the turbidimeters and all they do, they don't even flow meters.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. I'll have to go and pull the data on that, but I'm pretty sure it's every, if it's not 6 months, it's at least annually. We'll double check.
I'd be concerned, I couldn't quite hear that Mark guy. Did he talk to us about meter on handy? Did he talk about, do they have anything available like that?
They do.
I thought that's what he was saying back there.
And the one meter that Michael mentioned that is so old, he definitely said that is one that they're not even making parts for anymore. And so that would make a huge change there. They've even seen a change in their reading since they changed out the one at Burlington. Is that right, Michael?
And that one that was changed out was a cam strut, right?
No.
No.
It was a Hershey changed to something
It's
else.
still a compound meter.
Yeah,
Okay.
About the same meter that was in there, just newer.
yeah.
Where's the other Hershey at?
I think,
Probably, is it South Main?
no, down here,
Thermo?
Thermo.
Okay, so it's not being used, so that's.
North Main, it's been changed out probably 15 years ago.
Well, it was new then. I mean, it's when it hooked on 10 years ago.
South Main's the last old meter that we've got in place with them. All the rest of them have been changed in the time I've been here.
South Main's the lowest flow.
We don't know.
What do you mean we don't know?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much water Handy sells.
Maybe.
I mean, but you know what each meter reads each month, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can pull that and see which one's the lowest use. Yeah, we can pull that and see.
See, every time I ask them when a meter quits reading what it did the month before, and I ask them why, they, oh, we rebound it around here or there. This meter's pulling more water,
You need to tell them that in your quarterly meetings.
but I mean, that, rather than do the billing for Handy's, they know which meter is registering what every month and when it changes. Like to tell you,
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Michael.
Angela, I have a logistical question. This is being television, this is being recorded, right?
It is.
There's no light on it. Hasn't been no light on the whole time.
There's a little one I use it.
It's showing that it's recording.
I mean, I see that red light well. Normally I see a.
Yeah, I noticed I didn't see a light there, but I saw that light there and I thought, well, maybe it's
I don't know
okay.
what's in the way.
Well, it was on earlier, so I don't know if it's just dropped
What?
signal.
There's a red light just like that.
What goes that light up there?
I think that's just where.
Yeah, but there's no light.
Yeah, there's not been light on
Okay.
this.
No.
I can
It may be, it may have, we had them charged, but it may have.
Yeah, it's just.
It was showing both when we first
I just,
started,
just be a couple.
Okay, okay.
Just was curious. Yeah.
but it is recording.
Okay.
Yeah, this phase, and it picks up volume.
Okay.
Okay. Next agenda item, review policy Briggs architect design development proposal.
Commissioner Grove, do you want to review this with us, just?
Well, this is just, where we met with Paul, in our subcommittee meeting and gave him the sketches that we had used and when we all talked and put on there what we thought would be a good plan for the building. And he has, he's not going to, I'm sure, present us with anything until we approve paying him a contract, yes, with him. So,
And this will be for him to, work through whatever plans it is that you guys are proposing
exactly.
in order to bring back to the
Yes.
table. Does
He
it,
he walked around with us, took the proposed drawing and, he was gonna see what he could do with it.
and then is it the cost also through the follow through of the project? Is that, am I reading that correctly?
Pardon?
Like, this would be his work through the project to the end. Is that what that covers, or would it be?
This just covers
This
the
just
initial.
covers the initial.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, seemed like.
I make a motion, we approve the $6,800 for Paul Briggs to
I'll second it.
do the initial.
Second, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carried.
Mayor Ward, if I can also have you guys, if you approve this, will you approve a budget amendment for us to take from retained earnings to cover this through administrative professional services?
Next item,
Run it by me again. Back up. Speak a little louder there, Angel, will you?
I will. So with the approval of accepting this proposal from Paul Briggs, do you want to go ahead and do your budget amendment to cover this for tonight, since it's not a budgeted item? Or wait and present it to you at the next meeting? I mean, we've already approved it.
I so move the money from where we sent to move it from.
Okay. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right,
That
thank
motion
you.
carried.
The next item is another resolution for the, ARPA funding. This is for the I&I for the wastewater collection system, accepting a grant funding of $774,136. I reached out to DEQ just to find out where we are on these projects because, we've been waiting on funding letters and things like that. This is a portion that they need from us stating that we will put this money that they're issuing us for the I&I project. The person in charge stated that the information was mailed out to the town on March the 15th. We have not
March
received,
the 15th?
but we have not received the package in the mail.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
Wouldn't this have been something Mr. LaBella would have figured out?
well, when I spoke to Ms. Miller, she doesn't get those packages. They are always mailed to the municipality. So,
Don't they have some way of tracking?
no, they come direct mail. I know, they're not even certified to
That's
show that they
crazy.
were delivered. So when I reached out to her, she emailed it to us, and that's why I'm presenting it to you tonight, so I can get this back to her in the morning, and we can move forward. We are looking at a project advertising for the water line rehabilitation next week on that project. So we're starting to see some things moving forward. But again, this supposedly was mailed out to us in March, and we did not get it. So that's why we're needing the resolution to accept the funding and to state that we will spend the money as deemed necessary.
I make a motion that we accept this resolution, if that's what we need.
Second.
Any
You
further
have your
discussion on
opinion.
this? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Awesome. So we just sign that now, Paul?
Angel, did you find out anything from Wooten on that handy project if they can do it?
I was going to reach back out to them today when we got back to the office in time. I talked to Daryl this afternoon just to give them an update of what we had decided to do. Wooten's checking on it to see what they could possibly provide for us, and I'll check on them in the morning, and I'll let you guys know that update along with the the meter system. But I did update Mr. Hennett and let him know that we are checking with Wooten to see if it's possibly a study they can do for us since it's related to our property and our plant. So I'll give you an update on that tomorrow as well. Great.
Okay, before we adjourn, I just want to say one thing. I thought that was one of the best festivals we've had in a long time. And I went up there 2 times and the crowd was pretty good all the way to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was good.
Yeah.
I think that was a good job. Good job, y'all. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank
I did
you.
a really good job.
Thank you.
The weather was perfect.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yes.
What a
Commerce
difference.
weather.
Best weather in years.
What a difference.
I will say also, we've been approached by a group that would like for us to have since we had worked with the tractor club, they're wanting to add antique cars, which will be a whole nother crowd that'll come. So we're gonna look at that and see where we can.
We used to do that.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I really do. The cornhole people were very pleased. They didn't have as great a turnout, but they were still pleased that they were able to come and be a part of it. I think there was 10 teams. So, really good. So thank you. The staff worked really hard on that, and I appreciate their hard work on it.
And the beer garden did pretty good, I think.
You did good.
They
Thank
started
you.
off slow.
It was slow, but by the time the concert started, Chris said they did really well.
Yeah.
The dunking booth did really well, but I know how old I am now. It was
Somebody sore.
Chief and I both, Chief James and I both said Sunday was tough.
Yeah.
So we did raise.
Thank y'all for doing that.
$500. It was
Seriously.
fun. It was a lot of fun.
I
I'd
got
like to
done
make
too.
that motion to adjourn.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
For a second, all in favor, say aye. We're adjourned.
Andrew, can I give you money or who do I give
Yeah,
money?
you can, and we'll make sure the chief gets the card.
I just gotta find my check. serious.